Many thanks for your company. Now, the Ghana Cocoa Board has announced fresh subsidies on cocoa fertilizer as it officially scraps free distribution scheme introduced by the Mahama administration. The new scheme will see farmers buying granular fertilizers at a 50% subsidized rate, whilst liquid fertilizers will sell at an 80% subsidized rate. My colleague Joseph Opoku joins me in the studio with more. Hi, Joseph.
Hello.
So, briefly give us, what's the background to all of this?
So, you would know that cocoa farmers have always enjoyed support from government. Usually, government gives them a portion of the amount in question that we earn from the sale of the cocoa. The point being that it's illegal in this country to sell cocoa to any other person apart from someone who's been authorized by government, and it's usually the produce buying companies. And so it's sold to them, then government exports the cocoa, all the amounts come into government coffers. Now the estimation is that more than $2 billion comes in annually, and then government uses that to pay off the cocoa farmers. And so over the years, farmers have always enjoyed some level of subsidies from government when it comes to, fertilizer subsidy, when it comes to the mass spraying exercise, free seedlings for them and all of that. But what happened last year was that the Mahama administration took a decision that instead of subsidizing the fertilizers, before then we used to see a situation of the fertilizers being subsidized in a way that government pays for 60% of it and then farmers will pay the rest of the 40%. But last year the Mahama government took the decision that they were scrapping the subsidy scheme and they were going to do a free fertilizer distribution scheme. They invested millions of cedis in that to import fertilizer and give to the farmers. And so from last year onwards, we weren't seeing a situation where the farmers were paying any amount. It was free fertilizer, but it was fraught with a lot of difficulties.
All right, before we go there, let's talk about this press statement from Ghana Cocoa Board. What exactly are they saying as regards the new directive?
So now the Cocoa Board is indicating that henceforth, instead of the free fertilizer, they are going to let farmers pay for it, but it will be at a subsidized cost. And so COCOBOD has indicated that they are informing the public, especially cocoa farmers, that beginning May 2017, cocoa fertilizers will be offered to farmers at a subsidized rate. And so under this new policy directive by the management of COCOBOD, which they say would seek to enhance farmers' access to cocoa fertilizers and also to improve their yield and then their incomes, a bag of the granular cocoa fertilizer would be sold at a price of 80 cedis, and that's coming down from a higher price than that. And then a liter of liquid fertilizer will be sold at 20 cedis. And so the subsidy that we're seeing on the granular fertilizer is 53.4%, and then with the liquid fertilizer, a subsidy of 81%. Currently, the price for the granular one is 171 cedis, and now it will be sold for 80 cedis. And for the liquid fertilizer, it's 105 cedis, and it's now being sold for an amount of 20 cedis. That's the indication that COCOBOD is giving.
All right, Joseph, you have to pause there a while because we have Nana Johnson Mensah. He is an executive of the Cocoa Farmers Association, and he joins us on the line. We just want to pick a quick reaction from them. Hello, sir. Well, we've lost him on the line. We're trying to reconnect him and get their reaction to this because, like you were mentioning, someone would think that, well, you should be quite unhappy if you're coming from a point of free to paying something, though subsidized. But you were mentioning that the initial program, which was a free distribution program, was fraught with a lot of challenges.
Yes, and over the years that's been the case, even with the free mass spraying exercise where cocoa gangs are supposed to get into cocoa farms and do spraying for farmers. The complaint is that usually there's all of this politicization of the entire exercise. Usually it's the people who have connections at the local level with party chairmen and all of that who benefit from it. And I have attended a conference at which cocoa farmers were present, and they raised these concerns that they weren't seeing the situation of the free fertilizers getting to them. But looks like COCOBOD has indicated that it would be very hard on those who abuse this particular system. Portions of the statement read that cocoa farmers are being advised that they should insist on buying the subsidized fertilizers from licensed cocoa buying companies, cocoa input companies, and offices of cocoa farmer associations at the subsidized rates. And looks like they are showing some level of seriousness when it comes to ensuring that the subsidy reaches the farmers. And the final bit of the statement says that management of Cocoa Board would seek to encourage cocoa farmers to seize this opportunity, apply the inputs, and increase subsidies.
All right, Joseph, we have Nana Johnson Mensah on the line now. Hello, sir. Thank you for joining us. Hello, good morning.
Morning, madam.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. Now, you're an executive of the Cocoa Farmers Association. How does this news come to you, sir?
Hello?
Hello, sir. Can you hear me, please?
Yeah, madam.
Yes, I'm saying that...
The voice is too low. It's too low for me.
Okay, can you hear me now? Hello?
I can hear from you, madam. Will you speak louder for me, please?
I'm trying. Can you hear me, please? Can you hear me now, sir?
Yeah.
All right.
It's a little bit okay.
Okay, now I am asking that you are an executive of the Cocoa Farmers Association. This news from Ghana COCOBOD saying that they scrapped the previous free fertilizer distribution exercise, and now you have to pay for fertilizer at a subsidized price. How does this news come to you, sir?
Thank you, madam, for calling me this morning to hear a little view from we, the farmers. We farmers, we are always looking for what will assist us to improve the cocoa production. And as you are saying about this free fertilizer, when the free fertilizer was there, a lot of farmers, farmers were complaining that others were not getting some of the fertilizer. Only few farmers were able to get some of the fertilizer. And then when it comes to such an issue, a point that the government is going to subsidize so that the quality will come and then the quantity will be more for every farmer who will get access to buy at a subsidized price. I think we farmers will be very happy on this issue.
And, well, this directive, Joseph, said that May it will start. I'm just asking, I don't know when the last time was you bought a fertilizer, but when you go to the market, is the price reflective? We hear it's 80 cedis for the granular fertilizer, and for the liquid one, it's 20 cedis per liter.
So when you go to the market, you see the granular is 20 cedis per gallon, and then per liter, and then the...
And the liquid is 20 cedis per liter, and the granular is 80.
80 cedis.
And I'm asking, yes, and I'm asking that, is that what you see? This is supposed to have started in May this year, and we're already in the middle of May, and I'm asking that, is that what is on the ground?
Well, as I'm speaking, the supply hasn't come yet.
Okay.
The real farmers, because the rain has started, so we are expecting that it will come out for the farmers to get it to apply early. When you get it to apply early, that will help you, the farmers.
Okay. So apart from the fact that the fertilizer was not getting to you, some of the farmers, when it was being distributed free of charge, what are some of the other challenges you had with the previous program?
Some of the challenges that we're having in the previous...
Yes, that's what I'm asking.
For the previous last year. See, when we come down to the mass spraying exercise, the chemicals that were sent, the chemicals were inadequate for the farmers. Some of the farmers were also getting, some of the farmers were also not getting. So the same thing applies to the black spot. The black spot issues. It doesn't come early, and then when it comes, a lot of farmers were not able to see some of the black spots and the control the farmers and the disease. You can live. But this year, I hope the government has ensured that everything will be early for us, for us to apply. So it was one of the challenges. The incentives are, the medicine was inadequate for the farmers. So we are praying that this time it should be increased so that every farmer may have access to get.
All right. Mr. Mensah, just before you leave, I want to find out the issue with the distribution of the fertilizers. Was it an issue of inadequacy, or was it an issue of some people were keeping it and giving to their friends and party sympathizers?
Well, what I know is that the fertilizer was inadequate. A lot of farmers were complaining that they were not having. To tell you that they were given to friends and others, so that I didn't come and cross that situation.
Sure. All right. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Nana Johnson-Mensah is an executive member of the Cocoa Farmers Association. So, Joseph, you work a lot on this sector, the agri sector. I mean, even your latest documentary was focused on that sector. What are some of the issues that comes up when you have to look at fertilizer and how it is distributed, whether it's as a subsidized rate or whether it's free?
You rightly pointed to that, inadequacy, so that then the situation becomes a few people then holding on to it, and then people being picky and choosy when it comes to those who should benefit from it. That is what I think going forward should be fixed as far as the new fertilizer scheme is concerned. But again, if you ask me, look, the reality is that all of these subsidies and free stuff, it really doesn't work. You sell the cocoa belonging to the cocoa farmer, give him 70% of the amount, hold on to the 30%, and use the rest of the 30% to get him freebies. If you ask me, scrap all of these, bureaucratic processes, liberalize the sector a lot more, sell the cocoa and give him the 100% amount that he deserves from it, let him buy his fertilizer and buy his additional inputs. I think that's what you should aim at going to, a more liberalized sector, because you can mark my words that in the next year or two, we'll come back to this same conversation that Nana was drawing attention to, that there are people who complain that even with this subsidized scheme, they were still not benefiting. They had to go buy their own fertilizer. People will tell you that some others were hoarding it and reselling it at even more exorbitant prices. And then we'll come back to this same story again. Scrap all of these free schemes. Give them the full benefits that they deserve from the cocoa they sell. And then I'm sure they will be even more encouraged to do some of this. Because in the past, they've promised them a housing scheme, they've promised them an insurance scheme, they've promised them all sorts of things which haven't worked out. They still live in some of the poorest in the world. Even the cocoa scholarship, I'm sure you'll attest to that. At the senior high school level, we are told it's supposed to be for the children of cocoa farmers alone. And this is money from the cocoa that's been sold already. But it ends up going up to the children of civil servants. Very unfair to them.
Well, we'll see how this goes. Thank you very much, Joseph Opoku Gakpo, for joining me to do this. Now, away from cocoa farmers and subsidized fertilizer, the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service has given the Food and Drugs Authority approval to destroy over 90,000 packets of fake abortion drugs imported into the country by family planning giant DKT International. On 16th January 2017, Joy News investigations uncovered how thousands of pieces of unregistered abortion drugs were used by DKT International to terminate pregnancies here in Ghana. This was part of a consignment imported into the country. Joy News is learning DKT International has paid for the cost of destroying the drugs. Kwitinate has the rest of the story.
On the 16th of January, Joy News revealed how family planning giant DKT International used thousands of pieces of unregistered abortion drugs to terminate pregnancies in the country. The drugs, misoprostol and mifeprostol, were part of a shipment of about 90,000 packets brought into the country with the assistance of Nigerian and Swiss drug dealers.
The fast-moving ones for abortions and Viagra are being channeled through Nigeria through another foreigner who is spearheading all these transactions. So it comes through a back door.
The FDA sanctioned DKT International and the Swiss drug dealer who helped in smuggling the unregistered abortion drugs into the country. On 23rd January 2017, the Food and Drugs Authority confirmed payment of a 50,000 cedi fine imposed on the Swiss national.
What is left outstanding now is the destruction of the drug. But DKT paid before the year ended and the Swiss national paid after the holidays. DKT
International Country Director Kevin Hudson was recalled by the headquarters in Washington, D.C. following the expose. Joy News is learning that the Food and Drugs Authority has completed internal processes for the destruction of the drugs. Thomas Amedro is head of the Drug Enforcement Department at the FDA.
Under the Public Health Act, we are supposed to supervise the disposal of any unwanted, expired, or unwholesome medical product. And so after this issue with the DKT, we wrote and recommended that the product should be disposed of under the supervision of the Food and Drugs Authority. But we are going through our own internal arrangements for that disposal because we need to get approval from our own management to provide logistics so that we can do the disposal. That approval has been given already. So now we need to write officially to the police for the release of the products. Then they can also be in attendance so that they will watch the proper disposal of the products. According to the WHO and all standard regulatory practices worldwide, products that you seize or detain should be kept under the recommended storage conditions until such time that you took a decision on their fate or you decided to dispose of them finally. And now we have a constraint in that we don't have adequate storage size for these products in order to maintain those recommended storage conditions. So we end up detaining the products at the premises of the importers or the distributors, which is not the best, but that is what we can do in the face of the circumstances we are confronted with.
He also adds the family planning giant has paid for the cost of destruction of the fake abortion drugs.
In the cost of slapping the administrative charge, we included the disposal of the drugs also as part of the charge, in addition to the charge. So they paid for that upfront. Oh, we just want to assure the public we are still working hard, and we expect everybody to cooperate, especially those dealing in importation of medicines, to ensure they do due diligence, get their products registered, and also their facilities are up to the scratch as far as storage conditions are concerned. And then those on the consuming end should also check on the status of the products before they purchase them, and also as well as check on their expiry dates, whether they are within their shelf life. All these checks so that we all can have a safer country to be in.
Reporting for Joy News, Kwetenate, Accra.
Well, the Security and Exchange Commission of the United States of America is investigating the recent $2.25 billion bond issued by the Akufo-Addo government, in which Franklin Templeton, a U.S.-registered company, purchased 95% of 15-year and 7-year bonds. This follows a successful filing of a complaint with the U.S. regulatory body by the NDC minority in Parliament. My colleague Raymond Akwa joins me in studio. Raymond, the minority have released a statement. But before we go into the details of the statement, briefly take us to what brought us to this point, the background of this whole bond saga, if you will call it.
You do recall that earlier this year, the Finance Ministry announced that it had actually gotten Franklin Templeton to buy some 95% of the 15-year and the 7-year bonds. In fact, the $2.25 billion we were told is the biggest that we've actually gotten in terms of bonds in this country, and the single bond issuance that we are talking about here. The Finance Ministry made it clear that this was to profile our debt, not to add additional debt to it. Okay. So, i.e., spread the debt over a very long period without paying extra for it. The amount of money that are paid within the short period will be going into other development financing projects, which will necessarily help us as a country develop, and we don't have to be constrained within that same fiscal space. But not long after that, the minority raised two major questions. First, conflict of interest. They say that the gentleman involved, who is a huge, what they call it, director of Franklin Templeton, Trevgan, is also a board chairman of Enterprise, what they call a group, a company that's owned and funded by the finance minister, Ken Oforiatta. The understanding they also said was that the process of giving this company, Franklin Templeton, this particular contract or the bond or getting them 95% was actually shrouded in secrecy and was deliberately couched and deemed as insider trading for just Franklin Templeton. They explained this way. They said that the beginning of the timing for the issuance of this particular bond started at 9 a.m. By 4 p.m. it had closed. In the next 3 days, the payment had been done. They say that this is irregular. Mostly it takes about 3 days for them to open and close this particular bidding space. So that is the basis that the minority threatened. In fact, they threatened court action, they threatened going to charge, and also dealing with this matter in an expeditious manner. But we understand now, it's what they call the ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, has actually petitioned the SEC, Security and Exchange Committee of the United States of America, to look into a similar act, because they believe that they consider this particular issue of insider trading and conflict of interest in violation of U.S. law. Mindful of the fact that Trevgan is actually a U.S. citizen, and also the company Franklin Templeton belongs to the United States of America, as in that is where it is established and operating.
All right, Raymond, I'll come back to you shortly, but let's get onto the phone lines and speak to James Kluche Aveji. Well, we unfortunately lost him on the line there, but we'll try and raise him again. But Raymond, we also know that Shraj is looking into this matter because one of their own members, an NDC Ashanti Youth Organizer, Ashanti Regional Youth Organizer, petitioned Shraj on this particular matter. What's the latest on that one?
So the former youth organizer, Broja Zemfi, has actually made the same claim that this is contrary to state law. It's also not the right practice to go through. So administratively, Shraj should be able to ascertain that the bidding process and the issuance of the bond was contrary to the laws of Ghana. Shraj admitted taking possession of this document and the petition that he signed. Shraj has issued a 10-day, what they call it, ultimatum for the finance minister to respond in his personal capacity as the person who's been alleged to have engaged in some offences in this particular case. So that is where we are. Indeed, we're expecting that this week is when the 10-day ultimatum will elapse. Then the Shraj will start what it calls preliminary investigation. When the preliminary investigation is successful to establish a prima facie case, then they move on to actually doing the proper investigation and coming out with a pronouncement.
So obviously Shraj can hold the investigations while SEX also does theirs.
Yes, I mean, the SEC's case has nothing to do with a local case being dealt by the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice.
Now tell us about how the U.S. in particular takes a lot of interest in issues of conflict of interest.
Okay, so they treat it as a very important issue. In fact, to them, potential conflict of interest should be avoided. So anything that will put in that particular case. But this is to do with a U.S. citizen and a company involved, and one Ghanaian citizen, another company in Ghana too, and the government of Ghana. It's interesting how this will pan out in the course of the day. All
right, Raymond, I've got Mr. James Kluche Aveji on the line. Thank you very much for your time this morning, sir.
Thank you very much, and good morning to your listeners.
Thank you too. But sir, now it seems that you have finally fulfilled your, if I may call it, promise to Ghanaians when you addressed us sometime in April that you were taking this matter to the Security and Exchange Commission in the USA. Now we hear, according to your statement, that you have received notification from them. What exactly have they been telling you, sir?
Well, this is just the filing of the petition, and then the notification we receive is acknowledgement of the receipt of the petition, which shows that they have accepted the petition and they are going to work on it. So for now, that is the stage we have reached, that we have successfully filed a petition, which is acknowledged by the Security and Exchange Commission of the U.S. So we're waiting on them to do their work and then establish or otherwise whether there is any conflict of interest that we have alleged in our petition.
Well, someone will wonder why we didn't wait for Shraj to finish the work they're doing before filing this petition.
Your line is very bad.
Hello, can you hear me, please?
It's very bad.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Okay, what I'm asking is that why not wait for Shraj to finish their, investigations into this matter before going ahead to petition the Securities and Exchange Commission of the United States of America?
No, the Shraj petition will not cover the investigation of the Franklin Templeton, because that is a U.S. company. So our petition to the Securities and Exchange Commission of the U.S. is purposes to investigate the deal and see if the U.S. registered investment company, which is Franklin Templeton, has done something that is against their own law. And if that is so, then the sanctions applicable will then apply. So the Shraj investigation will not cover that. That is what we went further to do that.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time, Mr. James Aveji. He is the chairman of Parliament's Finance Committee and also a member of the minority who have petitioned the Securities and Exchange Commission of the United States of America to look into the recent $2.25 billion bond issued by the Akufo-Addo government. So, Raymond, for a lot of people who are not really interested in the nitty-gritties of bonds and all these economic jargons, is this going to have an impact in any way on our economy?
So two things. If, for example, the SEC says that Franklin Templeton did something wrong in engaging Ghana in this particular case, it may prosecute officials of Franklin Templeton. This may affect the holdings of the company. They may lose the strength and the carry in the financial market, and they would also affect the bond that we currently have with them. Indeed, it may go to the point of them saying that because of their current situation, they can no longer engage us with the amount of money that we're supposed to get from them, and the reprofiling may be in jeopardy. So there are potential consequences that are there for the economy if it is proven on the other side. But mostly it ends up being on the other side.
Interesting. Thank you very much. We wait to see what developments we get out of this. Raymond Aqua has joined me in studio to discuss this particular issue and give us some analysis as well. We also spoke to James Klute-Aveji, who is the chairman of Parliament Finance Committee, as well as a member of the minority. You're watching Joy News Desk with me, Benes Abubedu. When we come back, I'll be giving you details on that gruesome alleged murder that occurred in Nabadi sometime last week.